few seconds. Alright, so let's just do the thing where I like do a thing. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'll let you view my mouth and my face, because that's what real men do. Yup. And I'm just waiting to get, there we go. I have the thumbnail ready. Actually, let me just check the sound. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'll let you view my mouth and my face. Okay, that should work. Real men do. Yup. And I'm just waiting. Alright, that's about perfect. There we go. I have the thumbnail ready. Actually, let me just check the sound. Alright, so sounds off. And we're on. Alright, so hi, my name is Simon. I'm the casual audiophile. I said I will not be doing any more reviews on the channel. So what changed? Well, I just see the terrible fucking state of this hobby without me. So I'm like, okay, fine, gotta come back. But decided to put just a wee bit less effort into those reviews. Still a lot of effort comparatively to quite a few reviewers into the scene, not to mention any names. But yeah, I want to make them even more laid back, if that's even possible. I'll try to do the thing, so maybe I look a little bit better, as if that were possible. Alright, so without further ado, today we're reviewing this motherfucker. I mean, not the case itself, I mean the case is beautiful, I gotta admit. Not the tips either, we'll come back to those. But this earphone, the Tanchjim Hana 2021. And if you are at all familiar with this earphone, you might realize two things. First of all, it's pretty. Second of all, it's got some pretty good reviews from other people. And third of all, those are not the stock accessories. And let me just explain why. Besides the case, which is truly wonderful, it's like a faux leather thing with a, you know, just fabric on the inside, just wonderful stuff. Yeah, so besides that case, the rest of the accessories that come with the Hana 2021 are legit crap. The stock cable was so bad, I just let my rabbit eat it. I totally let her do it. It wasn't like she sabotaged my room. But yeah, like the cable was really bad. So I replaced it with this Linsole. I think it's named the HC08 or something cable. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change the sound at all. It's just a lot nicer of a cable than the previous one, than the stock one, right? And I also replaced the tips, and those are the Moondrop spring tips. And I don't like those tips. I really don't. But on the other hand, I don't really like this earphone, as you'll soon find out. And turns out sometimes a minus and another minus can make a plus. Well, in this case, I am not going to tell you yet, but you'll find out soon enough, eh? Alright, so without further ado, let's jump straight into what really matters about a headphone, which is the sound. Because like, as beautiful as it is, and I can't understate, like, this looks like jewelry. You know, we'll go over all of those things like fit and comfort and stuff later. But first, let's just jump straight into the sound, or like a the way I do it. And I'm kind of out of form because I haven't done it in like half a year or something. But the way I do those reviews, first we go do like a short overview of the sound, and then we talk about comfort, fit, and everything like that. And then we delve deeper into the sound with some comparisons. So I think that's what I'm gonna do here today. So first, let me tell you about how this sounds with the stock tips, and we'll talk about the spring tips in the later section. So let me just put the stock tips on for 1 second, just so you can see, because one thing about them, they do look even more stunning on the Hana. They just look how beautiful this earphone is. I can't stress it enough. But anyway, sound. Okay, so the sound of this earphone, if I were to describe it in 2 words, it would be thin and muddy, which is normally not 2 things that you would associate with each other, but that's how it sounds. So let me explain. So starting with the frequency response stuff, the bass. The bass on here is very elevated, and I'm talking about the stock tips now. I'll tell you about how the spring is changed later. So with the stock tips, the bass is just giga boosted. It's just total giga bass that just like, it's very punchy, but it's just there's just a lot of it, you know. The texture is fine, it's not the best, but like the sheer amount of bass is kind of overwhelming. Like, maybe there's some people that do like it, but I do not. And the bass is it does still have some mid bass boost, but like the biggest boost comes into the sub bass, which just makes the bass feel kind of disjointed at times. I do not like it at all. So moving on to the mids then. Well, the mids on here are just giga recessed. Like, the lower mids might as well not exist on this earphone. Like, they are just so recessed, it's not even funny. Mainly because on one hand of the lower mids, you've got this like huge bass shelf, right? And then on the other side, you've got hugely elevated upper mids. And what that means is some female vocals will sound alright on it. They will just, they will be very present. But most male vocals, which is mostly what I listen to in, bands like Metallica, Black Sabbath, I don't know, fucking Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly, a lot of artists that I listen to just have like those really deep, growly voices, right? And this does a shit job at portraying those. Like, those vocals are, on the one hand, completely lost in the mix, but with so much bass emphasis, you would expect those vocals to at least be like thick, but they're not. They're like the thinnest vocals I've heard since the CCA CRA, and as you might well know, I did not like that headphone either. So yeah. Well, what about the treble then? It's shit. It's really unpleasant. It's completely off. It's just you've got a lot of like lower treble, then a dip in the mid treble to my ears, and then like a peak at around 12 to 13 kilohertz, which is very unusual and sounds very piercing and unpleasant at times. With some cymbals, you just get this sense like something is just not right. So yeah, the treble is kind of shit also. So is there anything those do good? Because they've got some pretty rave reviews. Precog Vision, who is a reviewer I trust, rates them very highly. Mark Ryan, who is not only a reviewer I trust a lot, but also a dear friend, gave them 5 stars out of 5. So what's going on here? Well, they do have one quality that's very nice about them, and that's how they soundstage and image. So when it comes to a normal IM soundstage, let's just imagine this case is your head, right? Well, the normal IEM soundstage is like this. It's just in your head and doesn't go out, right? Well, the Hana soundstage is like a ball that's floating around your head, and it's got even some verticality, which is very rare in IEM soundstages, so that's pretty nice. And on top of that, it do pretty decent imaging. So like the location of the instruments in space is pretty easy to pinpoint actually, which is very good. So that's one thing that it does well. Separation of instruments is not too great. Detail is, I would say, adequate for the price. It's nothing fantastic, but it's not bad either. But like, you know, those technicalities do not outweigh the stock frequency response, because it's just so bad. So, and I'm still wearing my Sennheisers. Well, did that to monitor audio, but I'm not doing that anymore, so I can take them off, can I? Okay, so, anyway. Yeah, so, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to mention one thing that's probably the biggest deal breaker about this earphone for me, because like we've moved from the sound overview into like the fit and comfort section right now, and I don't have good news here either. I mean, some people I think like the fit of this headphone,